This week, our special guest features Tim Toborg. First and foremost, Tim wants everyone to know that he loves Jesus and is thankful for his salvation. Tim and his wife Brenda, of 35 plus years, have 2 children together. His daughter Kelsey Thompson, married to Seth Thompson, and son Elijah, married to Megan. Altogether, Tim has 3 grandchildren who he loves and enjoys spending time with. Tim has been a police officer for the past 35 years. During his service, he has been a school resource officer, canine officer, and a DARE officer, which he says he enjoyed that the most. Tim also loves the street and being a street officer, but after his long tenure, he's decided to retire this coming year. We're excited to sit down and chat with Tim Toborg. Welcome back. We're here for our second episode of What's Brewing with Humble Joe's. Super excited. We talked to our producers, Murphy, and they did not cancel the show.
They did not cancel the show, surprisingly.
I was scared after seeing the wide-angle lens that my video technician, professional extraordinaire, used on us. I've not really eaten much since, so I'd like to thank, I'm not going to say his name, Steven, but I think we've got that fixed. Lost a little weight since then, so glad to be back. We're here with Tim Toborg. He's our special guest. We're going to just kind of do this like last time. We're going to have some coffee. We're going to taste it. I got a different coffee this time. It's from Sumatra, which is an island in Indonesia. I think we'll notice a lot of different tasting notes than what we tasted last time, Murphy, with the Colombian. So I want to jump right into the questions because I know Tim probably has a lot to share. Maybe some stories he can share, maybe some stories he shouldn't. So we're going to have fun. We're going to get started. If you want to get started with the coffee, we'll jump right in to our very first question.
We're going to ask him a lot of legal advice too, right?
He probably won't answer. So let's go. So Tim, we brought you here because I think you like coffee. I know that you've had some of our coffee before.
I have.
What is your most memorable coffee experience, or why do you drink? Is it the functionality? Is it to get you through the day? Is it all the above, or like what's your daily routine as a coffee drinker?
I don't know when I started exactly, but my dad and I are deer hunters, and we would go out in the woods. And I brought my thermos, but I remember my dad packing his.
Oh yeah.
And then we'd have a cup, and then of course these come with a cup, and man, this. So it was for me. It was from childhood.
Yeah.
I've drank coffee, and then now I drink anywhere from a pot to 2 pots a day.
Oh yeah.
Probably. Yeah, I don't like to tell my doctor that, but.
Well, they say coffee's good for you, so I think we're in the good.
Yeah.
So you're kind of a pothead.
I am. Yeah, I guess I can.
Coffee,
yeah.
So Stanley thermos, I have one of those. They'll go through anything. They've fallen off my truck before. They probably fell out of your tree stand.
Yep.
So
I watched a movie years ago about a guy carrying his coffee with him and thought he'd save a doctor and sometime and then get free medical care the rest of his life. So that's kind of my purpose for carrying them.
Very nice. Very nice. Cool. So we'll go on, and this is kind of what we want to talk about a lot because you have been through a lot of public service in your years. What's kind of some of your proudest moments professionally, and then we'll get into some personally. What are some of your proudest moments?
I did a lot of things, so I'm going to count the little things are probably my proudest, and just the everyday intervention that I do with the people. Yeah, God's allowed me to be there to be a witness when some cool stuff happened, like a stabbing. Henry got stabbed in the neck a while back, and I got to be there to be a witness for that and how God saved him, brought him through that, and some other things. Some not so good moments in people's lives. That's usually when I see them, and just the friendships that I've developed over that. So I'm going to say all the little things added up to the big things.
So that the stabbing that you referred to, that was just recent?
A couple of years ago, I think. 2 years,
yeah.
I think that's right, yeah.
Well, that's a...
Yeah, I just saw Henry today.
Really?
That's the fellow that got stabbed and doing great, and we're friends. And
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Corey here, I think, is about done with our first round of coffee.
I'm gonna make two because last time I feel like we didn't get enough between three people.
Gotcha.
So I'm gonna do a double dose.
So we'll try that. What about personally? What are some of your proudest moments?
Probably my kids and my wife. We travel a lot, play a lot, and we go to the lake a lot. So just I don't know, church things and just loving life. That's what we do. So
what's the secret? I mean, I've been married for 17-ish years, I think, maybe.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And what's 35 plus years? What's the secret besides saying yes?
So she was 19, I was 20. And looking at when my kids were 19 and 20, I don't think I would have said yes and let them get married. But my parents just fell in love with her, and I did too. And it's pretty good, easy. It's not. Try to keep work stuff at work where you symbolically have to wipe your shoes off at the door and just leave that stuff there, and so it doesn't carry on over, because some of that craziness would. But you got to be grounded, and she's grounded, and I am, and we have good relationships with the Lord, so we're squared.
That's very good. Now, did you meet her? Are you from Seymour locally? Or?
Yep. Born and raised here in Seymour, graduate of 85 high school, and she graduated in 86, but we worked together at Arby's, so I actually proposed to her at Arby's. And now that makes anniversary dinners real cheap.
Oh, that's nice.
I didn't think about that until later, but it worked out good.
Looks like we have our first round of coffee. I think we're going to hit it.
I wish they could smell it in here.
Oh, it smells really good.
Horrible, isn't it?
I smell it every day.
Oh.
So Murphy's using the AeroPress. Have you ever seen the AeroPress?
I know what it is, but I've never seen it used.
Murphy, will you give us like a 30-second rundown just to kind of get Tim caught up here?
Yeah, just real quick. So it's just a plunger. It's heat and pressure, right? So hot water and pressure. Take this filter off. There's a paper filter under there. This is just a cap or a retaining cap. Put your coffee in there. You let it kind of brew upside down with the hot water, and then you just press it through. And I do the inverted method. Some people do the standard method or whatever. I just don't like it dripping through before I'm ready.
Yeah, I know the first time I used it, I didn't invert it, and it was just leaking everywhere. So then I asked him what I do. Inverted, solved that problem.
Silly, simple device, stupid, cheap, easy to clean up. I love it.
That's good. We love easy. So we are trying some Sumatra. This is actually a new lot. I just got it in. The tasting notes are black licorice, which I didn't think I'd like, but I really like it. It's subtle, and as the coffee cools, I do pick that up. Dark chocolate and molasses. So out of all the Sumatras that I've gotten, this is probably the most unique, but I think I like it maybe more than the others. It's cooling, but I think here in about 30 seconds we can give it a first shot and see what it tastes like. And then I want to hear your opinion. I want to see what you think.
All right.
But public service. We'll move on to the questions because that's why we're here, is to learn from you and hear from you, hear your story. Why? Well, why? What's driven you to be in public service and work with communities for 35 plus years?
So I think the two coolest jobs that you could have would be being a preacher or being a policeman, because you get paid to do what we're supposed to be doing in the world anyway, helping people. But the two things I wanted to be when I grew up was a policeman or a teacher. And I had a favorite teacher, like we all had a favorite teacher and such. So in 2000, I think it was, I graduated the DARE officers training. So now I get to teach the DARE program in all the schools. And now I'm a policeman that teaches. So how cool is that God answered that prayer? So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Is DARE still pretty prevalent in our community?
It is. So I'm realistically 6 months, 16 days away from retirement, and 6 hours and 20 minutes away from retirement.
You're not counting. Are you counting?
I am counting. Yeah. I do love it. I do that because it's fun. And if you noticed when I told you how old my grandkids were, down to the day.
Did you notice? I skipped over that.
Oh, did you really?
I didn't want to mess it up.
Oh, well, yeah, I'm super proud of my kids. So,
that's awesome.
Yeah, I found this countdown app, so that's what I do.
I thought you figured it just on the fly.
Oh, no, I'm not. Yeah, I'm like a Rain Man or anything. But.
I think Murphy probably couldn't either. Yeah. Okay, let's try it. I think it's cool enough. So Sumatra, this is a wet hold processed, so it's not actually cleaned and soaked in water, and all the skin and stuff, it kind of naturally falls off. sits out on the patios more to dry. So the cherry is actually left on it a little bit longer. A lot of people think Sumatras are more earthy. You know, you taste like a little bit of the earth, a little, maybe a little bit dirty. But when I tasted it, I got a little bit of the licorice, and I got the molasses as it started cooling.
Yeah, that it is like earthy.
Yeah.
But I taste the roast, like the darker part.
Yeah.
I'm not like a connoisseur. I just know like simple terms. I'm just going to tell you that's really good. It is.
It's either good or it's not good.
Yeah. If I could get this in IV form, that would be awesome.
I know someone that works at the hospital. I'm sure we can hook that up.
Walk around with an IV. Yeah.
First impression, what do you think, Murphy? We'll go with you.
I think it's good. It's darker than I usually go for. I'm a light roast guy, as you know, and man, it is tasty. It's a little more robust, I guess, is how I would describe it versus a light roast.
Yeah. Good. What about?
Yeah, like as soon as you said earthy,
hit.
that was a good description of it, because I'm a mellow toned kind of guy, like I like the flat tones, and it's just really thorough. Like I can feel it all the way down. I like it. I like it a lot.
Yeah, well, good. We got one more question, then I've got one extra that's not on the paper. You're not prepared for, so
that's fine.
Watch out for this one. But last, when you retire, what are your plans for the future? What are you most excited about?
Yeah, I'm really nervous about it, and a lot of people I talk to a lot of retirees now lately, and they say they just don't know what they're going to do and just don't sit still. And I don't plan on sitting still. I've been on a couple mission trips with our church, and IDES, International Disaster Emergency Services, goes out and deploys after hurricanes and tornadoes and floods. And man, I could get into that. We did that down in Florida with our church, and I could do that all full time, stay in the camper and just help. But I'm going to be obedient wherever the Lord tells me to go. I'm pretty certain my flesh says I'm not going to do anything in police work, but I'm not saying no to anything. So
it's a real special feeling when you're able to go and work in some of those mission trip areas, spend time with people, and see the rewards that just your everyday actions has on their lives. So I've been on a couple as a youth growing up, and it's a pretty neat experience.
It is, and I'm certain everybody is the same everywhere. We've all got the same struggles, same thing. So when one bad thing happens to us, like our house burned down or a tornado hits. Tornado hit my mother-in-law's house in 2006 in Reddington, and man, the people that came out and helped, that just give us, the family, a boost, and that's how I hope it is when we go down there on the mission trips with IDES and such. So helping out that.
Some of these questions, but like I said, I do have a surprise question for you, and this is why I'm here, because I want to hear your answer.
Okay.
In all your years of experience as a police officer, what is the most unique or most impressive story that you would want to tell someone that you think, wow, did that really happen? Or wow, this is really a neat experience. So would you like to share with us?
I don't know if it's the one, but I've got
one that you can share.
Yeah, camera safe.
Yeah. Maybe camera safe. So a couple of weeks earlier, the detectives had asked me to stop a car on South O'Brien, and I stopped this car and walk up to him. And, hey, I'm Officer Toborg. Can I see your license and registration? And then just a second later, here come the detectives, come running, screaming up there, guns drawn, saying, "On the ground, get out of the car, get out of the car!" And I'm like, "Holy cow, what's this?" And they failed to tell me that this was a high-risk stop.
Oh, yeah.
I was just doing the good old boy stop, and like, holy cow. So fast forward now 2 weeks later, I'm doing the same thing for the detectives. Now we're doing this right way. So I go up, license, registration, or I get him out of the car, start handcuffing, and I'm handcuffing this guy, the driver, and about the time the passenger jumps over into the driver's seat, I push him away, reach in to try to grab him to stop that action, and my arm got caught in the door in an arm bar, and he drugged me about 5 yards maybe or so, and I fell to the left, he spun to the right, and it was in the school parking lot of one of our local schools, and a guy had blocked them, and they went around, got stuck in the back, took off running. I backed up and shot out after him, the shortcut, and ended up tasing him in the woods, got him. So we caught the guy, and so that's that's just one of the cool stories. It ended well, so
Yeah.
no injuries.
Do you think the private investigating team in the first scenario, they wanted to send you in first, see what would happen, and then come and save the day?
They needed a uniformed guy to stop the car. Maybe I should have been more in tune of like why they were wanting that car stopped, and I knew them, and it's like they're just kids that I knew here in town, and it ended well as well, but it kind of.
Okay, I may have lied. I got another question.
Okay, all right,
Sure. Follow up, yeah.
How has we know the landscape's changed to be a police officer, but in the past, 10 years to 20 years to 35 years, has it changed that much that it impacts what you do, like on a daily basis?
This is going to sound bad because I said, "Hey, I'm a Christian," but the fights back in the early days of my career in the '89, '90s in there, man, we'd go to the chatterbox and fight and wrestle with guys. It would be a nightly basis. That doesn't happen now. We don't have too much trouble. We get called there on occasion, but I'm on day shift too. But still, nobody fights like that. And then now we wear cameras, body cameras. That's a huge change, and really for the better, because if somebody gets acting silly, you just make sure it's like this was on right, and then they kind of straighten up, and behave.
That's good for both of you, right?
It is
for both sides of the situation.
It is, yeah. So, but it's the people are different. I long for just a plain old drunk. Now we don't have plain drunks. We've got a few of those, but man, now it's meth, heroin. You got the fentanyl, and you don't know, and that's what's so different about it. So. Yeah. I'm not looking forward to retirement for that part of it. It's the other stuff around the police.
Well, there's a lot of stress that goes into that, emotionally, physically, mentally. I can understand.
But I've been on day shift for a while, so I don't see a lot of those those crazies anymore. But we do sometimes.
Very good. Well, I think that I have no more questions. Great having you on here. Hopefully the coffee was okay.
Oh, it's great. And I was going to tell you that, I first got my first batch from the hospital.
Yeah.
And, man, I don't treat myself very often. Like I'll buy good guns. Mm-hmm. That's a treat to me.
That's a treat, yeah.
I won't buy a cheap gun, but and I'm usually just settling for the coffee at the gas stations and stuff like that, because if you're in uniform, it's usually free or really discounted, and they like to have us in there for their security. But so I've been used to about any kind of coffee, and then when I drink this, it's like I'm just treating myself. But pampering, I hate to say that, I'd be pampered.
You need to pamper yourself more often.
You're going into retirement. You pamper yourself a little bit.
Well, yeah. I like to say I'm a tough guy, but tough guys, man, this is good stuff.
Tough guys should drink good stuff.
Yeah.
And look, he's super tough. Look at him.
Oh, I know. I've known him for a while. Hard of steel.
I appreciate you coming on. Appreciate your service and all the years you've protected and served.
I wouldn't do it if I didn't love it. That's for real.
And I'm sure that you've impacted people far beyond what we even know. So.
Well, the kids in the DARE program and school resource, that was my favorite part of the whole thing, really.
Cool. Well, let's take a last drink.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming.
Yeah.